Welcome to On the Beat, where we bring you a different Buffalo Bills beat reporter every week, exclusively on the Overreaction Sports Network.
Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into this episode of On the Beat, brought to you exclusively on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, powered by Believe. This is a show where we bring you a different Buffalo Bills beat reporter or journalist every single week to talk about the topics swirling around our Buffalo Bills, who are headed to the AFC Championship game in Kansas City, Missouri. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. That guy sitting next to me right there is Jerry Ostrowski, the Swiss Army knife of the Buffalo Bills offensive line in the 90s and 2000s. You can find him on Twitter at Ostrowski_Big O. Please do us a favor. Please like, please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this vidcast on. Hit that like button. As the young kids say, smash that like button, subscribe. And if you're listening to this in podcast form on any podcast platform, please, same thing, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. So good to have you today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to have two legends in the Buffalo Bills sports community who have joined up to bring you the Believe in Bills podcast on the Believe Network, the network we're on. From Channel 2, Buffalo, Adam Benigni, and from Rochester Democrat and Chronicle Cell, Maiorana. Gentlemen, it's an honor to have you both. How are you both doing this snowy Buffalo evening?
Yeah, I'm doing better than you guys in Buffalo because we had sunny skies today. It was 5 degrees, but no snow, and we had sun. So, by the way, Benigni, you gotta get an opening like that for us because that was.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, ours just comes on and he starts talking. I mean, we need something like that.
We need some production. Show. Yeah. I mean, these guys are Sal. These guys are. I knew coming in, these guys were light years ahead of us in a lot of ways, and that just confirmed it.
But you have to understand, Fina and I aren't stupid. We make sure we hang out with good people. So it's not like John and I are doing that.
You're making me blush.
You got to, we call Joe our big toast. He's our Sergeant Holka. So, no, I don't want to, and we'll talk about your show here in a little bit. And of course, you guys are on Believe with us. So it's awesome to have you on. We appreciate you taking the time because I know it's incredibly busy right now for you guys. But I have to say this before I ask my first question. You guys are kind of the real life Felix and Oscar. You're kind of like the real life Odd Couple, man. Sal, I absolutely love your game day commentary. Maybe not as much as the Yankee games, but the Bills commentary is wonderful. So, I know you get a lot of grief about it. I love it. I think it's great. Old school reporting is still a favorite of mine. But I got to ask you guys, and Adam, if you want to start, and then Sal, you can chime in. But just kind of final thoughts on this Baltimore game. Just an amazing game in Orchard Park, obviously, this weekend. Bills win it 27-25, and just kind of your final thoughts on it.
Well, I said this on our show last night. I feel like the more talented team lost the game and the better team won it. Right? I mean, I just feel like, the 3 turnovers, I really didn't see that coming. There were so many questions about what this defense was going to be able to do, how they designed it. And Jerry, you had been on our show talking about how we might see some 4-3, right? Yep. Change things up a little bit, element of disguise and that sort of a thing. And I think, at least in the first half, I think they won the game in the first half, right? And then Baltimore got things rolling. I mean, look, if we're not talking about 3 turnovers and an epic drop on a 2-point conversion, we're probably talking about Buffalo cleaning out the lockers. But that's not the way they designed the thing and the shortcomings they had. And then what they did offensively, able to run the football as well in the first half, and that balance that they've had and valued to such a great degree all year. I mean, it all kind of came to fruition, and they're able to hang on and pull that thing out. Very, very impressive from the coaching staff through the execution of the players, in my opinion.
Yeah, Jerry, you're right. He's Felix and I'm Oscar. There's no doubt. I mean, I'm going to take the curmudgeonly side of it. And look, the Bills deserve to win the game, but I think they got away with one here. I mean, you look at that defensive performance, it was not good. Baltimore never punted. They were 8 of 11 on possession downs, 416 yards. The almost tying touchdown drive was way too easy to have happen. If not for the 3 turnovers, and we've all talked about this on our various platforms. you can't rely on turnovers every week. And the Bills have been very fortunate that it keeps happening for them. But in this game, I just didn't think the defense played all that well, and they got away with it. Lamar made really 2 unforced errors. The interception was a terrible throw. I don't know what he was thinking there. And then the fumble was, it's a bad snap. Just he's Lamar Jackson. He's trying to make something happen, but he just dropped the ball. So it was a very fortunate night for the Bills. They got away with one. Good for them. And they'll need to play better if they want to beat Kansas City this week.
I want to build on that defensive comment you made, because schematically, some of the things the Bills did, and it hurt the pass rush for a team that's not a big pass rush team to begin with. That cage rushing type of concept to keep Lamar in the pocket, only bringing 4. When they brought 5, they tended to bring pressure. But you talk about the defense not playing well. Does it seem to you anyway, and I was going to talk about this later in the show, but I'm going to bring it up now because I think it's pertinent. The Bills, to me, the biggest surprise of the Buffalo Bills this offseason has been their ability to run the football at will almost. And it's not like they're just doing it. I mean, they got some cats, and Spencer Brown's playing at an incredibly high level. But they schematically run the ball as good as anybody in the league. And it's almost like, and you saw it the last 2 weeks, the way the play calling was and the way that they relied heavily on the run, that almost has become an aspect of defense for this team to keep the other team off the field, control the clock, control field position, and not, again, that term that he loves to talk about, complementary football. It's almost like that running game's become a part of the defense for the Bills.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and Joe Brady agrees too. It came up yesterday on the Zoom call because he asked about, is this a conscious effort for you guys to control the ball and keep the other team off the field? And he, without saying it, he basically said, yeah, that's what we are trying to do that. And in this game in particular, that Baltimore offense was a wagon, guys. I mean, they're number 1 running team in the league. Lamar Jackson's having an incredible, probably MVP season. So they didn't want that offense on the field. Look what it did in the opportunities that it got. If they hadn't turned the ball over, they'd have gone way over 25. So absolutely. I think the Bills had the ball for about 32 minutes, which wasn't 41 like the week before, but they did a really nice job. And you're right, Jerry, that running game is lethal. They've been terrific all year. That O-line, man, I mean, O-line play. Right. And I think you'd agree. They do everything well, whether it's gap scheme, zone scheme, whatever they're doing is working really well.
Yeah, I think, sorry, I think just if I could add to that, I mean, I think one of the things I'm most impressed with about this team is how the coaching staff has been able to, for the most part, design game plans and then that they're able to execute it, right? I mean, I feel like they're at a new level when it comes to that, and I thought that the game the other night was another example of it. I mean, I actually thought, I've been so impressed, and, Vic Carucci, my partner on Channel 2, sometimes rolls his eyes when I bring up the run game and the need to still do it or whatever, and because it's gone from this, when Brady took over, the philosophy changed, obviously. It was so pass-heavy before, and now to see this, I almost felt like Baltimore was vulnerable in the secondary. I felt they could have done more in the passing game. I understand the philosophy. I mean, they almost I thought they were a bit too conservative, especially in the second half. But I mean, you can't, what that brings, the ability to run the football as they do with the quarterback they have. I mean, it's historic all-time NFL balance, right? First team ever with 30-plus rushing and 30-plus passing touchdowns.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. A couple weeks ago, I think it was after the 49ers game on one of our shows, I talked about the fact that the Bills effectively are going to put 30 points on the board. That's about what you're going to expect. And I know that it was 27 this week. And from that, I talked about the defense. And as it pertained to this defense, the level that it's playing at, and again, we saw it this week, no punt game, however, 3 turnovers. And basically what I ground the whole thing down to is Bills Mafia, how confident are you that they can get 2 stops, that they can get 3? Like, how many stops do they need against this opponent just to get the offense out in front enough to get the points they need to win the game? And I think a lot of times that's what it comes down to right now for this football game. I don't think they're going to go out and pitch a shutout. Like, I think it's going to be one of those things where they're hoping to get a mistake or 2, get 2 or 3 stops, and just allow the offense to get out in front.
Yeah, I think, and defensively, they get the turnovers. We know this.
Yep.
And the offense has been doing great with ball control. But this Buffalo defense, this week in particular, because they're going to be playing a Kansas City team that will want to play offense the way the Bills do. The Chiefs are the same way. They don't run the ball as well as the Bills, but they want to possess the ball and go on grinding drives, and they've been great at it all year. This Buffalo defense, guys, this week, they got to force some punts, man. No punts last week. The Bills had the fewest forced punts in the NFL this year, 49. Now, yeah, it helps that you got 32 turnovers during the season, but you got to start forcing some punts here and give your offense the ball back without the luck and randomness of the turnovers. And like I said, this Chiefs team, they're similar in that they want to control the ball, and you know damn well they want to keep Josh Allen off the field. So the defense has got to force some punts this week.
Yeah, the Ravens, that number 7 of 10 on third down, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was
that one
and 1-1 on fourth down. So they were 8 of 11 on possession.
Yeah, crazy.
But you said something there. You talked about they want to keep Josh Allen off the field. What is your guys' perspective? And probably was my one gripe of this game. Defensively, while, yes, they didn't cause a punt, and there were some things, I did see a lot of stuff that was much better than we've seen in weeks past, especially effort by that defensive line. I thought they did some things. Oh, Ed had a very good game, disrupted some stuff. But, you talk about Josh Allen, they want to keep him off the field. How frustrated do you get when you see a game plan like we saw this weekend where in a 3-play segment, he's not involved, or he's only involved once, or if it's 6 plays, he's involved maybe twice? I have a little problem with that.
Yeah.
We talked about it on our show the other night, Adam, right? I mean, I thought he just said it on this show here. I thought they were a little bit conservative at times. I understood the game plan and what they want, all the things we've already talked about, keeping the Ravens off the field. Don't let Lamar Jackson kill you. But I thought there were times in this game where the Bills should have been throwing the ball a little bit more, and they didn't. And you're right. Josh Allen attempted 22 passes, and he ran 10 times, but he only got 20 yards. So it was a really weird game from an offensive perspective. I think this week, look, we've seen them play the Chiefs, and that Allen is going to have a big day to beat them. So, we need more Josh Allen for sure.
Yeah, I get frustrated, Jerry, I suppose. I mean, in the second half, I certainly did. I mean, there's two sides to it. We got the Grinch here, Sal Maiorana, and I see the glasses as being maybe more than half full. They even made a graphic for him on our show, by the way.
Grinch wearing a green shirt tonight.
It was excellent.
Amazing.
I think it's great, and it's a very strong kind of foundational aspect of the team that they're able to do it like we had talked about and run the ball that effectively and dictate, especially against a front like Baltimore's. I mean, my God, to be able to go out and do that, that's very, very impressive. But at the same time, you're just going to need to get this team over the top and to win a championship. I know they're protecting the football and all those things and the turnover battle, but you're just going to need to unleash Allen a little bit. And I feel like this weekend at Arrowhead is, like Sal said, I mean, they're going to have to, take the reins off a little bit, I think. And what do they have in the passing game? That's another, it's an aspect that kind of feeds into this. I mean, how explosive are they? We know how versatile they are, but I think you know what I'm getting at. I mean, they value the balance of that ground game, and how much they have to rely on the passing game this weekend. I'm just interested to see how that all unfolds.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys, and Adam, you talked about this earlier. You thought the best team won, but not the most talented team. I don't have a big argument with that. I still think this Bills roster is not as good as some of these other teams, but it's obvious this team is incredibly strong. And, we talked a little bit about it in the past, but you guys being there a lot, when I played, when I was around, it was conform or be cast out, right? I mean, you did it, you stepped the line, whatever. If you became a problem, they got rid of you, whatever. McDermott, who is an old school coach, has kind of bucked the trend of this with his players to where you look at this team and there's a tremendous amount or a presence of individuality within a team structure. And I truly believe this team, these guys do love one another quite a bit. This team gets along really, really well, maybe more so than I've ever seen. How much I mean, you're there. How different is that? I mean, is this something that is true? I mean, do you see that as well as far as this Bills team? Because them being in the AFC Championship game after what happened this offseason and the roster and everything else, to me, this is as big a story as any.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. You do feel it when you're over there. It's a very tight-knit group. And they moved on from some guys who were part of that, right? Mitch Morse was a big part of that. Even Gabe Davis to an extent. Diggs was a little bit of a diva. But this group, for whatever reason, has really come together. I think they stealed from that Chiefs game last year. That was a callousing type of loss. And I think, there's a lot of guys back from that team. The coaching staff basically remained the same. They learned a lot of lessons. And I think they've pulled forward a lot of that to this season. And you do feel it. Guys like Deion Dawkins and just so many guys in that locker room that really are great leaders. And these guys they're tight, man. Like, I'll tell you what, a guy like Mac Hollins, he's on a 1-year deal. And I thought, okay, big deal. We're going to bring him in for special teams. That guy has contributed in every way possible. And part of it is leadership. He is really a good guy. They should re-sign him.
Right. Yeah.
Serious. That's the kind of guy they should be re-signing next year. They need better receivers, but they still should bring him back. That's what I'm talking about. Guys like him have unified the locker room.
Yeah, you know what? And to be fair, Sal is there, on a regular basis. This year, my role is a little bit different. I'm not, but I can certainly speak to, the entire McDermott tenure. And I did deal directly on multiple occasions with Diggs last year. From the training camp, when he finally talked to the media, that got involved in terms of a press conference. And then after the Denver game, when his brother was tweeting in the phantom passive-aggressive, social media crap, and we got into it after a practice one day a little bit. I mean, the sense being if you want that stuff to go away, have your brother stop tweeting. I think, Sal, you actually wrote that he needed to keep his trap shut. I think that was the headline or whatever. Okay, so, but I guess I bring this up and the whole mandatory minicamp fiasco and everything else. I mean, I think the Diggs thing was a pretty big deal. And I think to get him out of there, I mean, can you imagine if you're Josh coming off the field after a series and getting an earful?
Right.
I mean, Jerry, as a former player, you would be able to speak to that better than anyone. I mean, what that does when you're constantly hearing, you should have done this, I was open here, whatever. To remove that dynamic, on top of the fact that I think we've seen a maturation in Sean McDermott.
Yes.
Don't you think so, too?
No,
I mean, I think he's got a level of poise to him, just the way he handles situations and addresses us in the media forum. He just gives off a different vibe, a different type of more, I'll use the word refined. I would describe McDermott that way. I would describe Josh Allen that way. And I think it's permeated a lot of aspects of this team. And I think that in a lot of ways, backs up the point, Jerry, that you're trying to make. I think we've seen that really come to fruition this year.
It definitely feels like, and it's I don't even know that it's a feels like it's pretty aware. We're pretty aware, as you guys are as well. You just talked about it, Adam, that Sean feels very much more at ease with the two guys he has leading his offense and defense than he probably ever has. I don't remember him feeling this loose with Leslie. I don't remember him feeling this loose with, I mean, obviously there was tension there between him and Dable. I can remember a couple different times, the Browns game, I think in 2019 in particular, where, if they'd have run the ball more, they'd have won that football game. And McDermott came out afterwards and like, we're going to fix this. We need to run the football. So message sent type of a situation. The question, I think, that now that we're talking about that though, is what is Matthew Smiley's situation looking like right about now? Have you guys thought about that? Talked about it? Like I'm just going to leave it at that.
Look, they've had some big breakdowns. There's no denying that, and it goes back, a couple of years with some of the stuff that's happened, and not always when Smiley was there. I don't know, Jerry. You could probably speak better to this. I mean, I've told Adam a million times, I'm always a players first guy. Players are out there. making the plays. They got to know what they're doing. They got to know that you got to have more than 9 guys on the field for a punt, right? I mean, it's common sense. So the coach is obviously responsible for a chunk of it, but what is Matthew Smiley going to do when Bass misses a 35-yard field goal? I mean, what do you do as a special teams coach? He's got to make the kick, right? So, I'm sure he'll be a scapegoat. He could be a scapegoat and they fire him, but what is that really going to change? I don't know, Jerry. You tell me.
Let me ask you this. I mean, how many coaches are on a staff in the NFL? Is there 11?
Way too many.
11, 13, something like that. I was part of probably the biggest special teams snafu in the history of the team, right?
You were.
And many men lost their jobs over that game because of the head coach's refusal to remove somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was not a coaching error that caused that problem. Well, first of all, it was a referee's error because the pass was forward. But, yeah, there were people where they weren't supposed to be, and that's what happened. And, I think, that's one thing that I maybe was at a fault. I probably put too much pressure on myself and too much accountability on myself on things. But, yeah, I mean, you're right. A coach can only draw things up so much. Players have to execute at the end of the day. They've got to know their job. As much time as you spend in the building, you should know what you're doing. Now, sometimes you're going to get beat physically, man. It's just the way it is. There's guys that are better than you. But unfortunately, there's a lot of guys that lose jobs over things that aren't their fault. So we'll see what happens. I don't know, man. The special teams coach and the kicker, I don't know. If he's not the kicking coach, I don't know. I don't even know how you can fire anybody over a kicker's performance. Those guys are so –
I don't think kicking has been the problem. I don't think kicking has been the problem as of late. I think there's been some structural breakdowns and some just mental issues from the player standpoint, which goes back to coaching. But we need to probably turn the page and get into the Kansas City Chiefs game, or we're going to be here for a while.
So I'll save those guys the misery of talking about Lamar and Josh in the national narrative. We'll do that on a different day.
I would just say this. And Joe, I want you to, I don't want to spend any more time on this. I mean, I do, the whole McDermott postseason in-game decision narrative, I'm not willing to just set that aside at this point. We've seen improvements. I talked about, I think he's done a marvelous job managing this team. I like the decision on the field goal late the other night. I didn't like the play calling prior to that, but I mean, that works out. And, it comes down to the 2-point conversion. We all know that story. I agree with Sal's point. It's just it's not something when we're going to see McDermott against Reed here, and given all the baggage associated with this, I think the answer is yes, that he can overcome that, and he's shown this year, especially in that maturation. But I'm not willing, as an objective follower of this team, to just set that aside at this point. I'm not. I think coaching matters.
Yeah, for sure. I would tell you that field goal you're talking about, we talked about it on the post-game show Sunday night, and I was at the game. The crowd was very much yelling, "Take the points!" Right? And what's the hard part about that is, if they go for it there and miss it, it's a take the points thing, right? And if they take the points and then somehow lose the game, then it should have been. And Jerry likes to say it: McDermott is damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. There's really with this fan base right now, there's people that are just waiting for the gotchas. As far as that goes, talking with Adam and Sal from the Believe in Bills podcast on the Believe podcast network. The Buffalo Bills turning to Kansas City this week. This team has felt like literally whatever coach is doing since coach got here, it seems like they play better when they feel slighted. And there was a decent amount of narratives around the Bills, Ravens, and the Ravens coming to town. What is out there, or what, in your opinion, how are they going to conjure up or where's the motivation coming from this week in Kansas City?
The history of it.
Well, history. I mean, they'll find something to get themselves pissed off about, I'm sure.
Right.
But let's face it, they're 0-3 against this team in the postseason. That's all the motivation you need. And there's a Super Bowl trip on the line. So they'll be plenty motivated Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it that way too. I mean, given all of the postseason demons against this particular team, fueled by a game they absolutely should have won in the divisional round last year. 13 seconds, of course, is the prime example and what people are going to look back on. The matchup with Mahomes and Josh, the history with Reed, McDermott. I mean, it's all over the place. It's motivations everywhere. in this game. But it does feel like this team, for reasons we've discussed already on this show, is extraordinarily well equipped to go in and get this thing done.
Agreed.
I like their chances Sunday.
Me too.
I got to ask you guys this though. It's funny you talk about this team, and a lot of people have said for a long time that the Bills have been built to beat Kansas City, not the likes of Baltimore. And we found a way to beat Baltimore, and now we're playing Kansas City there with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. You know, when you look at these two teams and kind of how the Bills have matured as a football team, especially offensively, do you not see the similarities between the two? It's, you know, Kansas City has always been that team that just kind of is there. They hang around. You make the mistake, boom, that's it. It's over. And Buffalo's almost become the same type of team to where they're not making the mistakes of the past. They're protecting the football. They're doing all those sound things. When you make the mistake, turnovers, whatever, they strike and they hammer you. It's almost like they've become a mirror image of one another in my estimation.
Yeah, that's what's fascinating about this game. You're absolutely right. The Bills have become a team like the Chiefs. They thrive on other people's mistakes, and when it's nut-cracking time, they find a way to get it done because they've got a superstar at quarterback. And as we've talked about already, they're well coached. They're a tight-knit group. That's how you win football games, right? That's how you do it, especially when you don't have maybe the top-end talent that, say, Baltimore has. So They have become the Chiefs without all the incredible luck and officiating calls and 13 seconds breakdowns and everything else. So, yeah, but they are very, very similar teams. This will be a fascinating game.
Yeah, and I would just echo this.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead, Jerry.
No, you go ahead real quick. And you go ahead and then I'll jump in. Mine doesn't have anything to do with this.
All right. So I would echo Sal's point in the sense that we saw, you know, and moving on from Tyreek Hill, what Kansas City did, right? They philosophically changed things a little bit, built the defense, bolstered that, right? And they go ahead and they win a couple of Super Bowls in this and I think it's not a mirror image in that sense, but the way we're seeing the Buffalo philosophy, the run game, that sort of thing, what Joe Brady's imprint, right, on this team has been, I think there are some similarities. And then, as Sal mentioned, the opportunistic nature and being able to capitalize in the moments. And Josh being able, I'm talking about the body of work this season, turnovers down, much smarter, more intelligent type of play. And then like the 4th and 2 play against Kansas City in the regular season matchup, boom, on goes the cape, and he's Superman when he's needed to be. So I do see similarities, but hey, whether you're talking about Josh Allen, you know, you watch that Texans-Chiefs playoff game, and, you know, at the end, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes and we're talking about Travis Kelce. Big plays, big situations, and, you know, the history of performance to sort of back that up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping Haley shows up this weekend and we can have like a suite off at the game. We can have like T Swizzle in one, and we can have Haley in the other, and they can bring their friends, and almost like a kind of a whole like Broadway show cat fight thing. It'd be awesome. But no, the official that just called the Chiefs game this weekend is actually a Tulsa guy. Grew up in Tulsa, played basketball here. He's actually a principal of a local powerhouse high school in Oklahoma. So
who is that?
I know the head official. Yeah, Clay
Martin.
Last name. Clay Martin. He's
right?
a long.
He was at.
Yeah, he's a long time.
He came to Bill's training camp this summer. He was the official they sent to explain the new kickoff rules. Good dude.
Yeah,
I talked to him for a little bit. Good dude.
Real good dude. He's a real good dude. He's being fast tracked to kind of become one of the top 2-3 guys in the league. Obviously, he's got a reputation if he's doing playoff games. I kind of gave him a little bit of the business on social media this weekend, so I probably shouldn't drive through Jinx anytime soon. But
I was going to tell you to go over there and knock on his door and shake his hand and show him how big your hands are.
Nah, he's a good dude and he's making a living. But you know, when you look at this game, you look at this game this weekend, and just real quick, both of you guys, give me 3 things, 3 keys that you guys have for this game. Bills taking on the Chiefs in Arrowhead Sunday night. Your 3 keys as far as the Bills do this stuff. We're looking pretty good.
All right, I'll go first. I mean, we talked about it at the top. I think the Bills got to throw the ball a little bit more. I mean, they run the ball great, and that's all fine and good. But I think this has got to be a game where Josh Allen, you know, I'm not saying he has to put the cape on, but he needs to throw the ball. He needs to get guys involved. Amari Cooper has got to show up. Keon Coleman's got to do something. So that's one thing for sure. And then the other side on defense, look, as I said, they cannot live on turnovers, and Patrick Mahomes probably isn't going to be giving the ball away. So they've got to play sound on third down, get off the damn field, and force some punts. That will, I think, be as important as anything they do on defense. Just get off the field and give your offense an opportunity. That to me are the two big things. Throw the ball and get off the field.
Yeah, I would echo that. And I would add this, and it goes back to the AFC Championship game loss for me in Kansas City. And after that game, it was obvious that they needed to bolster the defensive front, right? That they needed to – Jerry, you had alluded to the fact the Bills are built to beat Kansas City. That process really started after that loss. And to one degree of success or perhaps not, whatever, I think they've struggled in some ways over the years. But I would say this, the Week 11 win at Orchard Park, I thought that was probably the best job they've done in terms of the design of that defense in containing Mahomes.
Yes.
Right? And I think if that holds true Sunday, in addition to what Sal said, I think that's extraordinarily important that they maintain that and perhaps build on it, because they've done so much to design the thing and build the defense for almost that specific purpose. Now they need to go out and execute that.
Yeah, very good. I have one more question for you, but before we get you guys out of here and I ask you that one last question, why don't you guys do us a favor? Tell everybody where they can find you on your social media accounts, your platforms, where you work, all that good stuff.
Sal, you go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the Democrat and Chronicle, so you can find me on the website there. I have my Twitter is at Sal Maiorana. I have my Blue Sky, which is at Sal Maiorana something. Blue Sky, I don't even know what the stupid thing is. And obviously the Believe in Bills podcast. And as Jerry alluded to, big Yankees guy, I do a free newsletter. If you want to subscribe, it's on my Twitter profile thing there. And I think you'll get lots of entertainment if you subscribe to that for free, by the way.
There's very little that's more entertaining than Sal during the Yankee season on social media. Yeah, we've enjoyed it this year. It's been great with the Believe in Bills podcast. We've really enjoyed it, and having the opportunity to reconnect with a lot of former players like Jerry. We were talking about this. It's been awesome. I mean, we were in those locker rooms and everything, both of us working for our respective entities, but to be able to reconnect with the former player and approach it from this standpoint and have all that experience kind of as water under the bridge and then apply it now. It's really been, I think, the most enjoyable aspect for me of developing and building a podcast. And I am still at Channel 2. I still host the Monday night show, Sports Talk Live Buffalo, 7 o'clock. So it's been great. But this has really been kind of a foray into the future, if you will. I mean, this is where it's all going. And it's great to be part of the Believe Network with all of you to kind of build this thing.
I still think we need to get Fina and Sal to have some sort of like Italian-based sports show. Call it like the Maloika or something like that. And they can talk about, sauce and Christmas Eve and football. It'd be great. John
I'd be happy to participate.
John can do recipes and Sal can talk about football. It'd be perfect.
Listen, don't tempt John Fina with a good time, Sal. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, for all the times that I went up to Fina at his locker and he basically gave me the finger and told me to get lost, I'd be happy to do a show with John. Be great.
And you know what? With Jerry, this was the Jerry thing. Like you'd walk up to Jerry's and he would do a lot of times like back turned. And I just remember like he would like look back. He would just like look like this and just give me and I knew. I just said, well, you know what? I'm just going to move on. I will never forget that, Jerry. I love it. Yeah. I still laugh about it.
One last question. Could be a short one. Probably will be. Matt Milano left the game late. And Sean McDermott yesterday on his Monday press conference basically said, I don't know anything. I don't know why he left the game. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know if he needed to blow his nose. He didn't say that, but I'm just paraphrasing. Has anything come out? Has anything leaked like on the situation status of Matt? No,
he was asked about it yesterday and he still had no information. It was funny because I noticed it. I'm looking down there and I saw Williams on the field and I'm like, I'm looking and where the hell's Milano? And nobody saw him get hurt. So I don't know what the deal is. I'll tell you what though, Christian Bedford being in the concussion protocol, that's something to worry about. Because that guy
Not
is
good.
one of the best corners in the league.
Yeah.
I hope he comes through that protocol because they have got to have him on the field on Sunday.
For sure.
Not good. I mean, they're back, Wednesday, so we'll learn more. But yeah, that was the one that during that afternoon Zoom when that info dropped, that's a game changer right there.
Yeah. It is.
100%. Yeah, and it happened on the onside kick, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So having also late in the game. Gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode of On the Beat. It's been a pleasure and a privilege having you guys on. Jerry as well. It's always good to do this with you. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning into On the Beat on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. Special thanks to Adam. Special thanks to Sal. Special thanks to Jerry. Look, Bills Mafia, we got a big game. Stay positive. Be nice on social media. I don't think it's deteriorated much the way that it did last week in the Lamar Josh thing, but stay positive as much as you can. Be excited and enjoy every single minute that you get to watch this stuff. But for me, for John, for Jerry, for Adam, for Sal, for all of us here at Overreaction, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.